Instagram and hi TikTok. It's day 8. We have arrived as we have went over the 8 secrets in essence. Again, you guys know it. We kind of we scratched the surface on the 8 secrets to powerful manifesting. Each day relating to at least a piece or a part that is in the book. So first and foremost, I want to just say really quickly, TikTok, you guys may have already seen this, but thank you all so much for your support in this book, hearing the shifts that you guys are having. This is just, there's no words, y'all. And you guys are going to get probably sick of me giving gratitude. But I am so grateful that this book is touching people in the way that it is. And that in so much so that it is shareable, that people are already buying extra copies for family and friends. I'm kind of blown away. I mean, because I always give everything over to the highest good of all. So I'm okay with, and I detach from how it's going to look. But the way that it is looking and the feedback and the people's lives that are literally changing in this amount of time. And I know what's going to come. I know what 2 months down the road looks like if they keep embedding what's in this book in their lives or in your lives. Yeah, I guess I should talk to you guys, right? But I know that. And so for someone to have this incredible experience already, and I'm like, it's not like you go high and then you go low. This is like the starting point of accelerated growth and abundance and being the greatest version of you so that the world can experience the greatest version of you. So the world then has permission to be the greatest version of themselves. Oh, it's so cool. And so we're still sitting in the top 100 in Amazon, which is so cool. Everyone keeps screenshotting all of these incredible people who, love and support this book. Some of the OGs of manifesting. If I said all of their names, you'd absolutely know them. They're sitting there screenshotting and rah-rahing with me, reminding me of where we're at. Because I'm like, I'm just sitting here reading all the posts in the group of people who are listening to the audiobook and crying and laughing and growing. But that piece is really cool too, because being able to be in the top 100 or number one in some of the best-selling categories, that means that it's resonating. And that means that it's getting into a lot of hands and hearts. And I know what type of world comes from that. So thank you all so much for your support. If you haven't yet, the8secrets.com. Make sure that you get a copy. Get a couple copies. This is actually the last day to get some. You'll still get some of the bonuses. But today is the last day so that we can start getting everyone prepared for it for the energy attunement. I'm trying to remember. There's a lot of bonuses, so I'm probably going to forget a couple. I'm sorry. But the energy attunement from wall, and then the energy clearing, the blockages from the healer, my husband, spiritual activator, and the event April 9th. I believe today is the cutoff, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But in case you didn't know, there's an entire event we're doing, even if you just buy one book. The attunement and energy clearing is if you buy 2. And then, as you guys may or may not know, because I haven't said this in a while, if you're buying 5, 10, 20 for family and friends, there's additional bonuses. And from what I have been told, this is the book that's had the most bonuses that anyone's ever seen. So it's kind of a no-brainer. If you've never been able to afford my programs prior and you're ready to get that kind of off and running, then the book is absolutely the audio, the Kindle, whichever version you prefer. This is the way to drastically change your life in any area. Thank you guys. So you guys are saying about $2. Da, 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 da. Okay, cool. So let's jump in. I think this is going to be the most exciting day for y'all. This is definitely one that I love talking about. And this is the 8th secret in the book. Go figure. So the only thing that I'm not going to do, because it does take a little bit of time, is walk you guys through the actual meditation on how to meet your higher self. That's what we're talking about today. But I want to, because it's a little bit of, there's some pieces to it. So that is in the book. There's actually, after the 8th secret, every chapter technically has a downloadable PDF or a downloadable meditation or different activations and all this stuff. And so the last secret actually has the meditation on how to access this version of you, which I call, your higher self or your future self. And the actual chapter, the secret, is embodying your future self. So I want to explain this a little bit, get you guys into the frequency of knowing and starting to tap into your future self. And hopefully it cracks something incredible open. And this is something that you can use, especially if you do the meditation and you follow the whole pieces that are in the book. This is something that you can use whenever you are stuck in a rough place, whenever you are confused, whenever you don't know which way to turn, what to do next. this is something that I consistently lean on. Sorry, TikTok, it's going a little funny. This is something I consistently lean on to kind of recenter myself and to gain access to information I don't know. So I didn't know this at the time in which I created this secret, this lesson, this understanding, but go figure. Lots of very intelligent, or so history says, individuals do this as well. And I don't know, I think it reminds me, and it makes me feel happy that I haven't left all of my childlike self behind, because, and I write about this in the book, my full story, but on my father's side, that lineage was highly, highly intelligent, also highly dysfunctional, unfortunately. But I had that as a child, and when I shut my light off, a lot of my intelligence kind of got shut off too, because my intelligence was actually a part of my light. I don't know if that's for everyone, but it was certainly for me. And so I like when I have these moments where they're like, Tesla said that, Einstein said that, or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Cool. So we're all tapped into the same source. And I believe that a part of embodying your future self is tapping into what all of these, Edison, Aristotle, all these individuals talked about in their own forms. They had different verbiages for it, but the collective mind. And I kind of think of it as the place that has all the answers and the best answers. So when you're in this space of trying to pull up something from your own mind, which probably has answers from the past or programming or something that's not truly going to serve you or isn't going to lead you where you're trying to go, because where you're trying to go is somewhere new. And as Einstein said, we can't solve a problem with the same mentality that got us into the problem in the first place. So I like to remember that I've got to access a part of me that I'm not really fully aware of yet, or that's gone somewhere that I haven't gone yet, or has a level of consciousness that I haven't acquired yet. But we can actually tap into that. Similar to the story I told you guys, trigger warning, when I talked to you guys about my miscarriage, my daughter, although she didn't come, earthside in full form, she was absolutely in a higher vibration and bringing information to me. I see that completely. I know that completely, which created an incredible healing opportunity as well, and also further activated me into higher and higher vibrations, which allow for me to serve you all even more, serve the world even more. And because I believe that abundance is, an ecosystem, we're all sharing resources in that sense on those really high vibrations, then I benefit as well. Okay, so embodying your future self. Now you may have multiple versions of you in this sense, but I remember this was when I can first at least remember that it came through, if you will, like as far as the actual lesson or pieces of the lesson. Years and years ago, I did have authentic living at that point, and so I was on my journey, but I realized that who here knows of like the gift of channeling? I'm not talking about like the super woo-woo-y thing, but you know how sometimes you'll say something to someone and they're like, where did that come from? And your eyes are open, you're fully, there, but you feel this incredible energy that's coming, from you, and you are really giving them hope or love or bravery or courage or support, whatever it is. That energy is just kind of exuding from you. So anyways, and that's something, again, that all of those folks I just mentioned, the Edisons and the Einsteins of the world, they also feel like they kind of channel the information, if you will. They access something that is seemingly outside of them. And the way I interpret it is, again, we just haven't met that version of us in fullness or access that part of our minds or our energy or the reality that we could, experience. So I think a fuzz just went up my nose. So anyways, let's jump into this. So I was sitting there a couple years back, or quite some years ago, and I realized, I was like, there's got to be, this kind of dropped on my head. I remember where I was sitting. We were in our old house in Dallas, and I was looking at the trees, and it was, Dallas is super green. And I was just sitting outside. I think I was by myself, or maybe I was with one of my coaches or something like that was in town. But I remember sitting there thinking, there's a version of me that already did this. I have no idea what I was trying to solve or understand. Maybe I'll remember, but I don't remember in this moment. And I sat there, and just in this really serene moment, totally connected to nature, I was like, there's a version of me that totally has the answer to this, that already knows exactly what to do. And that answer is in the highest good of all. And there's no worries. So how do I access that, right? So I set out on a journey to kind of figure that out, and then I reverse engineered the process, which a huge piece of it is actually this meditation that's in the book. That is a huge piece of it, because you do have to get your mind or some of your thoughts, I guess we could say, our personalities need to kind of float to the back so that information can come through. But anyways, I'll tell you guys, it's kind of a silly story, but go with me because this is just how it happened for me, so I'd rather be authentic about it. And so I sat there and I was like, okay, so then let me try to access that part of me. So I started, doing heavy breathing and closing my eyes, getting into, a meditative state, calmer state. And I ended up feeling like for some reason I should like pick up a phone. This is all happening like visually in my head. I'm giving myself my own guided meditation. And so I pick up like this like payphone looking thing or something. Or no, sorry, the version of me picks up a payphone looking thing. But I pick up some phone. I don't know. I didn't have a visual of my phone or what it looked like. But I was calling a future version of myself. It was a business question. I don't remember the question, but it was something to do with maybe not business, but it was about authentic living or something. Because I was I was having issues, or I was having some type of confusion with I don't remember, it was something to do, it was like staff or growth or something like that. So anyways, I was like, I know there's a version of me. I'm creating it. How do I like further step into the embodiment of like strength and leading a company? Something along those lines, I think. Any hoodle doodle. The version of me that picks up on the other line, at this time I wasn't even 30 yet when I did this practice. She was in her 40s, I think early-ish 40s. And she was on a beach. For some reason, there was a payphone on the beach. I don't know. So maybe it was, tell me where a beach has a payphone, I guess. Or maybe it was on another dimension or something. But she picks up and she's pretty blunt. She's very blunt. And at that time, I was still very much a people pleaser, very gentle. I'm still, of course, that's one of my root beliefs, is always being respectful in communications. And I don't want to change that. But at the time, I was still like, when I needed to speak my truth, I was still like, should I, shouldn't I? How does this look? Ooh, all this stuff. And she was very blunt, very direct, but she had an incredible amount of love in her heart. She had this huge foundation that was doing incredible work in the world. And it was a spinoff of Hustle and Heart, which is my philanthropic work that I do already, and Authentic Living Foundation, which I created soon after that, because originally we were doing all of our philanthropic work in the Philippines and then a little bit in Africa, and then like sporadically when someone would call us and we could help, we've got volunteers now, not all over the world, but in quite a few places with this Hustle and Heart philanthropy. So anyways, but it had sprouted 10,000 legs, and she was just like in constant service mode in a completely different way than what I was doing in service at that time. She was, more high level, making decisions. She could kind of see all moving parts. She wasn't in like the muck of the day to day and all that stuff. So she had great clarity. And so anyways, I started asking her different questions. And this is what I want to talk about. I'm going to walk you through kind of this a little bit more, but I just started asking tons of questions. Some that were very specific to what I needed to know, but also I started thinking, well, if I have access to this, and this could just be literally a part of my mind, y'all, if that's fine, right? Or it could be literally a version of me somewhere floating around out there and we were able to energetically connect. That doesn't matter. That's not the point of it. You can go with whatever belief system you want. This will work either way. But I know that I was accessing something that I hadn't accessed before. And so I'm like, well, while I have you on the line, kind of as a joke, then let me understand more about this version of me, because I could, of course, choose to become a different version, or if I like this version, then I want to understand it and start bringing that frequency forth. So similar again to my miscarriage, which now is quite related in this sense that I'm really thinking about it. Never really did it before. But if someone is in a vibration in which I want to be on, or it's just, this higher vibratory level, this great reality, and I'm like, I'm already on my way there, how can I condense the time frame to getting there, right? So very important piece with embodying your future self. You have to be willing to do the things that it tells you. You can't be asking questions and then be like, oh, I got the answers and I asked what to do, but then what they told me to do, well, I don't really want to do it. Oh my gosh, that is the hardest counter manifesting process you can give yourself. I always say, do not ask for feedback from the universe. Do not ask your higher self for to-dos or steps unless you are truly willing to do it. So whenever we're at an event and someone's like, can I talk to my higher self? And I'm like, are you actually going to do what they say? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, so if they tell you to quit your job right now, you're going to do it? And they're like, yeah, never mind. So I'm not saying that your higher self's going to tell you to do something like that. But if it's like, open your heart, tell someone you love them, speak your truth to your mom, whatever it is, you have to make sure that whatever you ask for, that you are willing to follow and listen. That's my one rule. Otherwise, embodying your future self is not going to be very helpful, because you'll get this information but you have to act upon it. Manifestation in this 3D reality is you have to act upon the energy that is being presented to you, right? So anyways, I was like, let me ask, what she's wearing. What color is her hair? What is her day to day? Give me a day in the life. And I just let my imagination run wild. And it was, in some ways, very different than the life I was living. And in some ways, it was like, in really every way I could see, this is a very enhanced version of my greatest traits, of the things that I am. And she's figured out that the weaknesses are, the weaknesses are the weaknesses, and that's okay. And we work around them, and we healed. And she was just this incredibly strong, vibrant woman. And it was so cool, to witness. So how do you do this yourselves? One, yes, purchase the book, go through the entire meditation. It's lengthy. That's why we're not doing it today. But the biggest piece in this moment is, if you want, if this feels right, get yourself into any meditative state after this call and just ask to access your higher self. Now, again, I don't know if this will work for everyone, because you might need to go through a guided meditation, because I know my guided meditations are taking you to a very specific place, a very specific frequency where I know you're accessing what you need to access. But you might be like, I think I can do that, or I feel that I can, or I know that I can. Cool, run with it. But I want you to start, even if you're just thinking about it, you journal it, tomorrow morning when you first wake up, or this evening, or something like that. What would the version of you that either has the answer to the question you have right now, and again, don't ask it unless you are willing to hear the answer. When we were doing some research clinically, we have this one machine, and you can ask your unconscious mind, really your superconscious, yes or no questions. And people would be like, oh my gosh, that would be like the part they wanted to stay on the longest, because they could access this information that was sitting inside of them without any filters. But when people would be like, am I going to have a child? And I'd look at them and I'd be like, this is not a fortune teller. This is going to read what you truly think. But do you want to know the answer? Do you really want to know the answer? Because if you get an answer you don't want, now you need to work on the energy to get yourself into the vibration where it does exist. Are you willing to do the work? And sometimes it was a yes or no, and that's okay, no judgment at all. But then we're not getting ourselves into the space of, we've heard the message, we know what we need to do, and now we're shaming ourselves because we're not doing it. So again, do not ask questions to anyone, really, but especially your higher self, or put intentions out into the universe, unless you are willing to step through and become the version of you that can access it and that can have it. Which, by the way, it can be extremely fun and extremely exciting. But there's absolutely growth in that process. And I know for myself, I didn't like growth because I thought it was something that it wasn't. I had a wrong definition of growth. It was scary, it was vulnerable, it was raw, it was going into every trauma that I've ever had, and I didn't know how to heal it. But that wasn't true. Thank goodness. And so as you step into this space, you can say, okay, I've got these questions and I need these answers. What version of me has it figured out? How can I tap into this version of me? What questions would I like to ask? And again, only ask what you really want to know or what you're willing to do with it. And then, like I said, get creative with it. What do they dress like? Go buy an article of clothing that is similar to that essence and that energy. What do they eat? What do they drink? What does their day look like? Is some of the parts of the day, can you incorporate that? So you can bring, and this is what it is. And this is all parts of manifestation. You guys remember when I talked about the dominant frequency effect? Whatever you consistently feel is your dominant energy. You can take that from a neuroscientific level as well over time. If you are rewiring your behaviors, your thoughts, you're rewiring your brain. There's a new default. Triggers no longer become triggers, blah, 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 right? I'm bringing a lot of stuff into this. So again, it's all intertwined. All 8 secrets are totally intertwined. So this embodying your future self piece is you starting to pull the frequency towards you. And really, it's not that it comes towards you, it's you go up towards it, but it's like a pulley system. You're kind of like hoisting yourself up to that new vibration, that frequency in which you already exist upon, and the version of you that has all the things that you desire, feels the ways that you want to feel, is living and existing upon, right? And you can take that from a woo-woo level if that feels good to you too. You're like, there's literally other dimensions and they're all living there and blah, 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 and I'm embodying that. Or you can be like, I'm rewiring my brain so much, and the part of me that I accessed within my mind knew differently, knows how to, knows my BS basically, because my subconscious is kind of given the information, la, 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 la. But then you can pull, the idea is you're pulling that frequency and you are exposing yourself to it more often. so that it becomes normal. This is the same as like mirrored neurons. So, you know that saying, you're most like the 5 people you spend time with? Oh my gosh, y'all, your brains will start to wire the same. Just like our kids, you know, when we're like, why are our kids acting out? Because their brain, they don't have the coping mechanisms to pretend like everything is okay, like we do as adults. But they're actually mirroring a lot of what's going on internally in us, and they're just matching the energy without the coping mechanisms. So anyways, that has nothing to do with future self. But you can see how all of this ties in, right? We're building belief here. And so when I was looking at all of those pieces, I was like, if I can, you know, just wear a little bit more of that color that seems to feel like it exists there. You're just getting your mind to say, this version of me that's rocking in life, helping the world, abundant, whatever you want, right? This version of me has these specific traits in the 3D, or so I choose to believe. So you are associating something in the 3D to a higher vibration or to a version of you that you want to access. So the more that you bring that in and experience it in your now, you're shifting your dominant frequency to that new reality because of the exposure, the consistent exposure. Same thing, you can go in the opposite direction. If you are consistently living in a low vibration or surrounding yourself with, negative experiences or reliving your traumas all the time, then it continues to create it, right? And it actually becomes really normal. So you could be living in a crap ton of dysfunction, but you don't even realize it because it just, dysfunctional becomes normal, right? And then you seek it out and da 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 da. But if you start introducing a new reality, or you can call it a new vibration, or just something that is tied to somewhere that you want to go and experience, you'll start bringing that forth. And the more that you do it, instead of you accessing that higher self, kind of like if you were like, I want to move to Hawaii. Well, then probably bring some things from Hawaii, order a couple things on the internet, get some seashells going. And each time you look at that seashell, you experience the essence of Hawaii. You pull it in. And you might realize you don't want to move to Hawaii after all, because you can feel the vibration of it here. But most likely you'll get that 3D manifestation too. And so we're basically taking things or thoughts or bringing a version of ourselves forth that we can pull into and further embody, which allows for us to recreate ourselves in essence, or move certain parts of ourselves that are not even authentic anyways. And then we step into a fuller and higher vibrational version of us. So that is embodying your future self. So just think about that for a moment. If you were to embody a version of you, let's just go full on, embodying a version of you that has it all. Ask yourself right now, and it's okay if a bunch of I don't knows come up, then you absolutely need the meditation on the 8th secret, right? And the whole chapter in and of itself. But ask yourself right now, what does he or she look like? What do they feel like? What types of friends do they have? What things in your life right now aren't in existence in that really awesome reality? So what needs to go, right? And then you can play around with the simple things. What do they like to eat? If that's the only way you can get the vibration going, if they're like, they really like apples, I don't know. My mind is saying apples. Cool. Then eat an apple a day, right? Just play with it. Have fun with it too. Laugh about it. If you're like, this is so silly, I'm freaking eating apples every day because I think that it's this version of me. It just might be. That sounds like a pattern interrupt in and of itself. So asking yourself all of the ways that you can, one, understand the version of you that has the answers that you seek or has a full reality. Sometimes I'll just access like one version where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm really struggling with my kid right now. What do I do? They're doing this thing or whatever. And I'm like, okay, let me embody the version of me that knows what to say to, my kid right now, or the version of me that has more patience, or, the future version of me, the mom that I can be proud of, or whatever it is. You can use it in small and big ways. So you can do, here's this one scenario, and there's a certain version of me I'd like to access some part of my answers, or I want the whole gamut, give me the whole reality. What does the life look like? And you're kind of reverse engineering it. So you're saying, this is a version of me that, whatever the top priority is, okay, well now let me see what falls underneath that. What is underneath that umbrella of here I am? So for myself, me embodying my future self way long ago was, I want to feel at peace and I want to serve the world. That was it. That sat at the top. But what existed on that reality was, and little did I know, was a husband, 2 beautiful children, an incredible, authentic living, which is a multiple 7-figure business, which is so cool. And I've never lost my integrity. I've certainly confused myself in business. I'm still learning how to do that, in great essence. But thankfully, I have amazing friends and an amazing husband for that. But I asked myself, that's my one piece. The highest vibrational version of me is doing my purpose work in whatever way I was put on the planet to do, and I am at peace with it. I'm okay with it. I surrender to it, all that stuff. And all of these 3D human experiences were found along the way that I look, the way that I dress. I didn't know that this was what it would be. I wasn't thinking about that. But if I'd had this tool then, I probably would have gotten here even faster where I am today and beyond. And so I've noticed that me being able to embody my future self and then bring forth whatever those things are in that reality, or focus on that high vibrational piece, and then letting all of these beautiful things fall underneath it, I mean, it's quantum leaps, huge jumps, because you're like, well, darn. And especially, again, if you're willing to ask questions too, and then take the actions. Yeah, I mean, the most simple thing, my husband and I always joked about this, but we say the universe loves speed. And again, the universe doesn't probably have a preference, but it's just a saying. But we'd always say the universe loves speed. And so one of the reasons that we were able to, get where we are in life and be able to reach a lot of people and find happiness when both of us were so unhappy when we met each other, was we were willing to take action fast. We were willing to, set our sails and jump off a cliff and build the parachute on the way down. I don't think anyone has to do that, but the more that you do lean in and make the decisions you absolutely need to lean towards a happier, healthier, and if you're like me, a more service-based life, it's pretty darn fun. And isn't it cool that there's like this part of you, this version of you, or the collective mind, if that feels better, maybe it is outside of you. You can work your beliefs into this however you want, but that you can access information and insight on demand that will get you out of your tunnel vision, out of your persona, out of your, perception, the lenses that you have on that are not serving you and don't need to stay on. I dig it. And for my energy folks, then I know you dig it too. Okay. That's it, y'all. That is the completion of our day 8, which ties into secret number 8 in the 8 secrets to powerful manifesting. And I know I've been talking about this book a lot. It's launch week. This has been literally one of the most incredible and exciting weeks of my life. And my heart was already wide open, but it feels like my heart grew. And my gratitude and my excitement. And, I thought it would take a couple of weeks before I would be hearing feedback on, how people are digesting all of this information. But I'm already hearing it from hundreds of people. I'm trying to get through every message and every post in the group, but already so many people who, even if they're just on chapter 1, 2, 3, or they, binge listened to the audiobook or binge read. I know a lot of people were up all night, just reading and absorbing it, and the shifts that they're having and the insights they have and what that means for them long term. Like I said, this is cool. I want everyone to feel this way. This is, I don't know how to explain the frequency. I hope you guys can feel it. I'm so honored and so grateful, because I feel like so many humans in unnecessary pain or confusion are about to wake up. And I'm not saying it's because of me, but maybe my information that I was so lucky to have flow through me as a vessel of information, that it's going to play a huge role in their path. And that's just, I don't know. I'm still kind of like in la la land about it. Just like, it's just crazy. Pinch me. But this is the new frequency. This is my new frequency. And I'm embodying it quite well, and it feels quite good and familiar. So I want you guys to all come here too, in your own authentic way, of course. So anyways, snag it, the 8 secrets to powerful manifesting. Then we can continue to do all this crazy stuff for months and months to come. Then this isn't, the end all be all between us, and we can jump into more magic together in the book, and then all of the bonuses that we have. Because I really think, like, when you focus on learning a concept from someone and you really learn every piece of it, which sometimes, means that you move into multiple directions with it, but you really embody all that. If this resonates, I should say, You should always look for someone who has the things that you want, right? That's pretty obvious. You don't take advice, you don't take money advice from someone who's broke, or maybe you do, but you learn how to, take the opposite or whatever. But if you know anything about my life, or if you resonate with my energy, and I can say 100% with complete honesty, I want other people to have my life. It is incredible. I want other people to have my mindset. It is so healthy. And I want to you don't need to be a carbon copy by any means. Total authenticity here. But there is a certain frequency that I'm on, and that I know when someone jumps to with me, or is on, naturally with me, or they're, in other beautiful spaces, and that's also awesome, and we still resonate because we're just like, you get it, you know what I mean? The more people that are in that space, the better the world is. And that, indirectly, that makes a better world for all of our children, for everyone who is suffering on the planet. We figure out, I didn't have 2 dimes to rub together most of my life, and I still, I absolutely still helped and tithed however I could, but I kind of got lost, off and on, and I'd be like, I have to save everything, and not even just from a money level, but like I just was living in so much scarcity. I couldn't give all my love, couldn't give anything, and being in this different space, so incredible, so incredible, and it shifted so much to where my love was overflowing, and I could give it to other people. My awareness was overflowing, and and by all means, there's certainly moments where I'm like, what is happening? But then I lean on my tools, and, I'm back where I need to be. But I truly want people to experience what I feel is in my heart, and I have the understanding that I have of what reality really is, and this existence, and how we can positively manipulate it. And I don't mean manipulate in a bad way. I just mean that we can move matter. We can change our reality, change our environment. And especially if it's in the highest good of all, then it can happen really, really fast. And it's really beautiful. So, me just doing my little part here. Okay, that is it. I hope to see you guys in the group soon if you're not already. And in case no one has told you today, I love you all.